Carney sparks firestorm in Parliament, blames Conservatives for $60 million scandal. What was supposed to be a routine day in Canada's House of Commons turned into a dramatic reckoning for Finance Minister Mark Carney as he came under heavy fire over the GC Strategies scandal. What began with a few pointed questions from the Conservative benches rapidly snowballed into a heated confrontation, exposing widespread frustration and disillusionment with how the Liberal government has managed billions in taxpayer-funded contracts. Carney, now seen as the presumed heir to Justin Trudeau, didn't help himself by using a line that many found downright insulting. He blamed the Conservatives for a scandal that unfolded entirely under the Liberal watch. The eruption that followed wasn't just political theater. It was a sign that trust in the government's ability to protect taxpayer money is quickly eroding. At the center of this uproar is GC Strategies, a shadowy consulting firm that secured tens of millions in government contracts over the past several years, often through sole-sourced arrangements with little competition. The most infamous of these deals was their involvement with the Arrive Canap, a project that ballooned in cost with minimal oversight and questionable value. GC Strategies has since been banned from receiving federal contracts for 7 years, a rare and serious rebuke, but the ban does little to resolve the larger problem. Conservatives and opposition MPs say that simply blacklisting a firm after the damage is done doesn't address the fundamental question: where is the money, and how does the government plan to get it back? When asked directly about restitution, Carney pivoted. Instead of committing to recovering taxpayer funds or laying out a timeline for financial accountability, he shifted the focus. He claimed the current government was delivering better value for Canadians moving forward and accused the previous Conservative government of setting the stage for these procurement issues. This dodge struck a nerve. Conservatives erupted, accusing him of hiding behind old grievances to avoid answering for the failures of his own party. The Liberals have held power for nearly a decade, and the contracts in question were approved, monitored, and paid out on their watch. Carney's attempt to rewrite the narrative fell flat, and in doing so, he triggered one of the most hostile exchanges in recent memory. The House chamber grew tense as Conservatives, supported at times by Bloc and NDP MPs, laid out a series of demands. They called for a full public accounting of all contracts awarded to GC Strategies. They demanded a criminal investigation into potential fraud. They asked for the ministers and bureaucrats involved to testify under oath. And they urged Carney to stop the political games and focus on delivering justice for Canadians. Their frustration wasn't just partisan. It echoed broader public sentiment that government waste and corruption have gone unchecked for too long. Carney's body language during the exchange told its own story. While attempting to maintain composure, he visibly bristled at the accusations. His answers grew more evasive, relying on buzzwords like modernization, efficiency, and rebuilding trust. But these words rang hollow against the weight of the scandal. It wasn't just about the money lost. It was about the pattern of behavior Canadians have come to expect from a government that promises transparency but delivers little more than political spin. Carney may be a polished figure, but in that moment, his rhetoric failed to match the public's desire for action. The scandal also reignited comparisons to past Liberal procurement controversies, from the WE Charity affair to the SNC-Lavalin scandal, and underscored a disturbing trend of contracts going to politically connected or poorly vetted firms. What makes this case worse, critics argue, is that GC Strategies lacked security clearance, raising serious questions about how they were ever approved to handle sensitive data or national systems in the first place. These aren't minor administrative errors. They represent fundamental breakdowns in accountability, process, and public trust. Even some Liberals reportedly expressed concern in private. Carney's handling of the issue has shaken confidence among backbenchers who fear that his tone-deaf response could further damage the party's already shaky public image. With a possible leadership transition on the horizon and Liberal poll numbers slipping, Carney's attempt to deflect responsibility could become a liability rather than a shield. His critics argue that this moment showed not just a lapse in judgment, but a glimpse into how he might lead if given the reins of power. If this is the level of accountability now, what would Canadians expect under a Carney-led government? Outside Parliament, the scandal continues to fester. Political commentators, advocacy groups, and citizens alike are calling for more than just verbal condemnations. They want restitution. They want resignations. They want the government to prove that it won't let this level of negligence slide. And so far, despite the noise, no concrete recovery plan has been announced. No names have been held accountable. No funds have been returned. The silence is starting to sound like complicity. Conservatives have pledged to pursue the matter aggressively. They're planning new motions, demanding more hearings, and pushing for judicial or law enforcement involvement if needed. This isn't just about scoring political points, it's a test of the system's integrity. When a government fails to prevent this kind of waste, and then refuses to clean it up, the damage goes beyond the financial. It corrodes confidence in the institutions meant to serve the public. The broader question now is whether this scandal will become a turning point. Will the Liberals admit failure and take meaningful action? Or will they continue trying to weather the storm, hoping the outrage dies down? Carney's performance suggests the latter, but the intensity of the backlash may force a different path. With the next election cycle already heating up, this issue could very well define the political narrative for months to come. In the end, banning GC strategies is a start, but it's not justice. The public doesn't just want future safeguards, they want accountability for what's already been lost. They want to see the government recover the money, punish the negligence, and fix the procurement process so this never happens again. If Carney and his colleagues can't deliver that, they may find themselves judged not only for what happened, but for what they failed to do when it counted most. Mark Carney stepped into the House of Commons expecting to position himself as a responsible steward of Canada's finances. Instead, he walked out as the face of a government accused of burying its failures and blaming others for its own mismanagement. Whether he can recover from this political firestorm remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: Canadians are watching, and they're not in the mood for excuses.